What's up, YouTube family? Before we get started, just a quick reminder, if you could like, comment, subscribe, it helps out the show so much. And now, let's enjoy the show.
I did hit rock bottom. And as I'm sitting in the shit and the sadness, I realized there has to be other people that sit here too. I just didn't want to feel like I was the only one. And slowly but surely, other people were like, yeah, me too. And I was like, okay, all right, I'm on to something.
The SelfHype Podcast.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the SelfHype Podcast. It is your host, Eli Vasquez, brought to you by Chobo Studios. And we have the amazing Katelynn Smith here as our guest, where we talk the healing journey and the process of staying on top of it and getting on the other end of it. This woman's story is phenomenal. She's a phenomenal coach. Her content is ecstatic, full of light and love, and she helps people working through love, growth, healing, and all that. From sharing her story of losing one of her children to sharing her story of her ex-husband leaving her for her best friend and how she was able to pick herself up and heal through the process and the different stages of that. It's going to be a good one. I'm so excited for you to meet her. She's such a vibrant light of life, and let's jump into it. I'm just happy that this human being who lights up my cell phone when I'm like having a hard day or maybe it's raining outside, I know I could always depend on this human being to just rise and shine, smiles, set intention and goals, and I always have a little bit of smile on my face thanks to her. We have freaking Katelynn here crushing it. I'm so excited to have you as like a guest on this podcast, and this is a long time coming because we've been chatting for a bit. I'm like, we should do a live on TikTok and we should, dive into these other things. I'm like, dude, podcast time, please be a part of it, because this human being's story is freaking phenomenal in terms of healing, in terms of growth, and turning that into this actionable mission of making people happy and encouraging them in the process and inspiring them in the process. So overall, amazing human coach. She does one-on-ones. She has a cup of coffee in her hand, and she's blessing the digital space all around, all through positivity, love, and connection, all about healing and growth. Katelynn Smith, so happy to have you be a part of this show. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. What an introduction.
I know, yeah. That's the energy.
That's so good.
You do naturally do such a good job setting the energy in your content and everything else. But, there's a couple things I wanted to hit on in terms of chatting with you, because your story of helping so many amazing people through your coaching, through your content, through your cool little hoodies that inspired me to make my own hoodie, which I love.
Hell yeah.
But it came from, I would love to dive into kind of the beginning of your story of one, okay, why are you the way you are? Because literally all her links will be in the bio and you will see how her energy is phenomenal. So why are you the way you are, and how did you get into this digital space in terms of helping people in wellness and love and growth?
Oh, man. I think it started probably when my daughter passed away, to be honest.
Wow.
I kind of started into helping other people. So I did a live speaking event after my daughter passed away, and that kind of fed my soul because I was reaching other moms. And it just sparked something within me. And then my ex-husband fell in love with my best friend, and they are now happily married and having a baby. But that also sparked another level of healing and truly coming home to myself and wanting to reach out to other people, because I did hit rock bottom. And as I'm sitting in the
What's up, y'all? Sorry to interrupt. I know you guys are enjoying the episode, but real quick, I want to tell you about the Patreon. You could join it, so many different perks, early access. You can even ask me a question that can even get on this show. So it's all patreon.com/selfhype. Check it out. Now, let's get back to it.
As I'm sitting in the and the sadness, I realized there has to be other people that sit here too. And so my very first video on the internet was me crying, and I just didn't want to feel like I was the only one. And slowly but surely, other people were like, yeah, me too. And I was like, okay, all right, I'm on to something. And I just kept doing it. I just kept showing up intentionally, authentically, no matter what my mood or how I was feeling. I never sugarcoated anything. It was just truly an embodiment of my journey and growth.
Wow. Like, and thank you for being candid and open, because I mean, losing a child, I can only imagine what that hurt may feel like. That alone, crushing. And that's something that, may not ever really get over. And it's interesting that, that deep hurt, which alone is so, immensely difficult. Then you add on your life partner and best friend, and you have that content where you share your story in terms of that on your pages. And I think that is like, I didn't even know your story before we connected and met. I'm like, oh my God, she's just so nice and happy and everything. And then I see that, I'm like, oh my goodness, this was such a storm. Like that, like anyone who's struggling through heartbreak and deception and just the rug being just pulled right on under you in terms of life as a whole, but in the love and dating relationships could relate to your struggle. And I love that I'm curious, like, what made the choice to be external with it or to vocalize it? Because a lot of people feel maybe a sense of shame. Maybe they want to like just put it under the rug or not even talk about it at all or acknowledge it. But you actually put it on social and you were able to connect with people because of it. So where did that come in terms of putting that out there? Did you have to kind of work to a place before doing that? Or was it just, I'm just going to, share my feelings?
Yeah. So it was 4 years later I shared my story because You're right. There's a lot of shame. I took a lot of that on. Like, how could I be so naive? And how could I have not seen it? And how did I just not do more? And like, you have to really work up to a point where you're like, no, I am enough. And I never deserve to be treated that way. Yeah. And when you get out of the victim chair, we sit in that chair for a while. I'm going to be honest. I sat in that victim chair for a hot minute. It was so cozy. But then when you get out of that chair, and you realize, like, it's not my fault, but I also played an active role in that relationship. And you take ownership and you really start to build on that. And forgiveness comes with that. You step off the chair and you start to forgive and you start to let go and you start to realize that life is beautiful and there's so much more than what happened. And so that was a candid video. I never expected that video to go viral. I sat on my porch and I was like, I really did learn this lesson. And I just like did not prepare myself. That's how I am though. I just like pulled out my phone. I'm like, I learned this. This is what 4 years later, this is like, wow. And boom, it blew up. And I was not prepared for that. I was like, well, I could have done more, but healing is just, there's no end. There's no like, I could have never told you 4 years ago, like there's going to be a point where I'm going to come to this and I'm going to realize like, I'm okay, and forgiveness isn't for them. They never asked for my forgiveness. They never apologized. They never came to me and said, we understand how much this hurts ever. They just went on with their lives. And I had to forgive for myself.
Wow.
I had to forgive, as a mom, as a business owner, as my, as for me and my life. And that has nothing to do with them. And I think that's one of the hardest things for us to do in the healing journey is to forgive those who have hurt us the most, even when they don't ask for it.
Okay. My like guy bestie kicked in when you said they didn't even apologize. And I was like, oh my God, you're lucky I'm not like 8 mimosas in, or else I'd be like, excuse me, like hair flip, who the hell? Anyway, that's besides the point. That's beside, we're in a space of forgiveness, is fine. But wow. I mean, okay, so that's the big thing, right? Is I love that you hit on that forgiveness, which was like, it's not about them. It's like, and then when we get it, right, that emotions and you're so angry and you're like, and I talk to people too, I'm like, you want to get to a point where you forgive them. And then they'll be like, no way, there's no way in hell I'll ever do that, But ultimately, you're holding on to so much, It's like to release that, it's like, must be pretty like breathing again for the first time. I'm like, like, and then the fact that it took these 4 years to get through that process, because I really want everyone to really hit on what you're saying is there was a lot of negative self-talk, it sounds like, why am I so stupid? Why did I fall for this? Why did, not the positive. Usually it's like, oh, I should really lift myself up here. No, you're actually beating yourself down. And it's pretty beautiful to see this kind of progression. So like, you know, what would you say was the hardest step to get to? Because obviously everyone could think like forgiveness. Are you kidding me? Your ex-husband and da-da-da-da. But like, was there a particular stage for you that was harder than others to like kind of shift over?
My own worth. So knowing that I am worthy of a healthy, loving relationship, like I'm still in that. I know that I am, like, I know that, but to actually like truly believe it within myself that I do deserve a healthy, vibrant love is still something that I'm working on. And I think that that's really hard to get to because of the deceit and that really just breaks somebody, you know, that breaks your worth and that breaks like your self-confidence. And so I'm still working on that. I would say that's like, for me, that's still bigger than forgiveness, you know. It's like, yeah, I had to let go to be, you know, who I am today. And like, especially as a mom, like I had to forgive them so that doesn't interfere with my parenting, right? Like,
right.
But for me going forward into a relationship, I think there's going to be some work going forward. If I find myself in a relationship ever again, that there's going to be a lot of communicating about like, I'm feeling this, and just being open and honest about where I'm at, instead of just being like, oh, well, like, you know how women can be, right? And it's like, no, everything's great. I don't want to be that version anymore. Yeah. You know, I really want to be authentic and be vulnerable.
And that says a lot about the strength you have. I'm sure I think what's beautiful is that you are struggling. You're actively managing the sense of your own, like, I deserve love, I'm deserving of this and all that, right? But also that doesn't stop you from coming into dating in a different way that serves you. That you know, I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna be open, and that's scary because like you're being vulnerable, and that requires a lot of like self-love in yourself to be able to take the brunt, because we wish the world was perfect, but unfortunately there's a lot of, you know, swamp monsters out there, you know, like, you know, scurrying about, you know, that may waste our time. But I love that you're in a position where, yes, I'm still managing these things, yet I am going to move differently, more authentically, and all. So that's beautiful to hear, that you don't have to be 100% fixed in order to receive the love that you need, right? Because I think there's a lot of misconceptions with that. Like, I need to be fixed. What are your thoughts on that fixism? Does that exist?
Oh, I just got goosebumps. Like, I don't like that language, because there's nothing wrong with you.
Yeah.
You are not broken. Like, you don't need to be fixed. You need to heal, and healing the wounds that, you know, yes, your previous partner might have inflicted on you, but those wounds might have been there from your parents. And there's inner child healing. It's layered, and you're not broken. You don't need to be fixed. You're not a car. But I think the vulnerability is the missing piece to healthy connections. You know, like, if I show up to a date and I'm not myself, then what are we doing? You know, like, I don't get it. Like, and I think you've mentioned it before. Actually, I think I stitched your video about rejection, and I'm like, yeah, we're in the business of being rejected, and you have to be okay with that, because it is truly a gift to be rejected. Like, nobody's wasting time. Okay, perfect. Moving on. You know? Exactly.
No, definitely. I mean, I love, I know. I remember you did reply to that. I was like, oh yeah, sweet. Love it. Yeah, because it's so much is that. And I think that's what I see more often than not with people, is that they struggle to be their authentic selves. Like, I'll get questions of, how do I keep them interested? How do I keep them to like me? How do I keep, you know, I'm like, if you got to act or play a certain role, that is not you being genuine. That's just inevitably gonna, you know, create tension, and you, like, they don't even know who you are. And then once you do open up, then it's like, who is this other person that was just enabled all my behaviors, and now we're fighting or whatever. But I think it's really good to just really show who you are, because I'm a Midwestern boy. I like Chili's and Applebee's, you know, and there's a list that came out of like the #1 places do not take someone out on a date was Chili's and Applebee's, and I'm like, that's just, it's a 2 for $20. It's a damn good deal in this economy. Come on, add some more. I'll do a margarita. I'll throw a margarita in. You know, it's all right. But it's part of my childhood, whatever. But stay in your truth. Be in your most authentic. You know what I mean? Like, you know, it's just what it is. And so I love that you said that, and you're moving in that way. Like, so kind of going back to like you being a coach, like this is pretty phenomenal, because it was unexpected. So you share this story 4 years later. It blows the hell up. Also, you're killing it in these digital streets. See, Katelynn is always saying, I don't know what I'm doing, Eli. I don't know what I'm doing. And her numbers are crushing it. And mind you, I talk about followers in not in a sense of clout, but impact. Like, there's a power in your impression and it's working because literally you have human beings that are receiving it in a lot of ways. So congratulations on that. But how did all this kind of happen? So you shared your story, that blew up. Like, where did we go from here in terms of connecting with more people and eventually working with them?
So I have a marketing manager now, and she asked me for numbers, and she was like, what are your numbers? I don't know what you mean. Like I had no idea that I had such a reach, and because that's not what I pay attention to. I pay attention to, like the people that need help, and I reply to them so they don't feel alone. And then coaching has just been there since I shared my story about my daughter, and I've had people coming in and asking me for help, and it's just always been in the background. And I've been so scared to do it. And I made a video that like the week before I launched my coaching saying, fear will hold you back. And what's on the other side of that fear is growth. So even if you fail, there's something there to be learned. And I took my own advice and I launched coaching, and I had 300 emails in less than 24 hours. So I closed it because I got scared. And then I did it again. And it's just kind of trial and error. But the people that I do coach, it's very intentional. And the people that come to me are aligned, and it's, they're ready for that next step. They've been through, most of the people I coach have been through the heartbreak. And now they're just at that point, kind of like where I was, where it's like forgiving, but also like, how do I trust? How do I trust myself? And it literally fell in my lap. It's just, yeah.
It's so beautiful. That's and it's like that's the funny thing. It's so weird because I used to work at BuzzFeed and worked in digital content, did all that, and we would have some combos in the chat. I'm like, yeah, what are your numbers, or what's the? I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm like, but it's working because it's so authentic. Like it's real, right? Like you are sharing your story, and I think this is. You're kind of a shining example of staying in your truth and the success that comes with it. And it's not like you're trying to be successful. Just it's a natural movement towards something that's fulfilling and helping others or what have you. But look what you attract by being in your authentic, right? Like just like in terms of dating, life, relationships, like you staying true in yourself, even when it's difficult, that's how people really connect. So, and I love that you were able to turn your story into something that now benefits others. Like, like what are some things maybe you discovered, like working with people that maybe like you, that kind of shifted you personally? Like, did you discover any things in terms of yourself as you kind of went on this journey of connecting with other people, or self-reflections or ahas?
I think coaching is actually a two-way street. Like, I feel like I actually learn a lot from people. Like, I'll just talk to them and we're having a conversation, and then all of a sudden I say something and they're like, whoa, or they'll say something. I'm like, whoa, like that was really impactful. And, I create more content and share that with other people. And it's just like this ongoing growth. Like I actually am growing as a coach, as a human. And you get inspired by your clients. And their stories and what they've had to overcome. And you're just like, wow, I get to work with some amazing people, like the strength and it's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing. I love that you're able to gain something from that and the two-way street of it. It's like, we're both coaches in that way. And there is a bit of a end of the day, you kind of pinch yourself and be like, holy shit, I get to do this. I get to work with this person. Like this person trusts in me in this way, and like this beautiful human being, I get to just help them through this stage of their life, in the most efficient way. Like that. And I love that you said you were like, kind of before you were like freaked, you were scared. You were like nervous. You were like, just take the leap and just do it, which is so beautiful to see, because now so many people benefit from it. Again, people, stay in your truth. If that's you swiping on Tinder, or if it's you wanting to start a coaching business, or you want to just help someone who's having a hard time, you connect with that authenticity, and it's not always like the perfectionism. It's not like I have it all figured out. I'm this successful human being. No, I've been through some stuff. Wow, thank you for sharing that and being open and honest.
But isn't there beauty in the mess? Like,
oh my God, yeah.
There's no beauty in perfection. Like, there's so much beauty in the mess of it all. Like,
yeah,
yeah.
You can't relate to perfection, right? Like, everyone, like, it's like, what have you gone through? It's the hero story. Like, I'm my filmmaker brain of like, you don't appreciate the hero's win unless you see what they had to go through to get there. Like, it's kind of like that's why we watch and we root for them by the end, because you see the stuff. So and yeah, the mess is beautiful. It's like, and it's like we get to clean it up. It's kind of a shifting of perspective of gratitude a little bit of like, I get to clean up this mess and it's mine. And, there's some chicken bones on the floor, but we'll figure it out. We'll clean it. That's a thing. Well, in terms of cleaning that mess then, I know you said like, obviously you had this like 4-year, journey of healing, the highs and lows and everything that came with it. In terms of like, I guess I want to hit on like managing, like staying the course. Cause, I think a lot of people just want a quick fix. Like they are just like, I'm sad. I don't like this feeling. So what can I do that's instantaneous that lets it all go away? But it's like a process, as you're saying, like it's a multi-year process. So my thing was like, when you were in the thick of it, how did you stay the course? Like, how did you kind of manage the best of your ability? Like I know there were hard moments, good moments, but what kept you going, I guess, to get to the other side of it?
What's up, y'all? Sorry to interrupt. I know you guys are enjoying the episode, but real quick, I want to tell you about the Patreon. You could join it, so many different perks, early access. You can even ask me a question that can even get on this show. So it's all patreon.com/selfhype. Check it out. Now, let's get back to it.
But what kept you going, I guess, to get to the other side of
it? I know a lot of people can't relate to this, but being a mom.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't stay down for too long because I had children, but my kids saw me crying on the floor.
Yeah.
I was vulnerable. I had my moments. I had my sadness. And, I would tell myself like, no, you're going to get up and you're going to go for a walk or, let's make a meal together or let's connect, let's watch a movie, for God's sakes, do something. Yeah. And I did the whole dating app thing, as we do. We swipe to numb and go on these dates. And then finally you get to a point where you're like, no, listen to yourself. Listen, this is not what you want. And then you start to value your time. And I think at the beginning, you hate time because there's so much of it. Yeah. And you're sitting in sadness and you're like, no, this is awful. But then you start to value that because there's so much growth that happens in that time. But it's hard in the beginning. So it's a constant reminder. I always say that healing is about awareness. As soon as you have awareness, it's constantly just bringing it back, like bringing your awareness back to the healing journey and to what you're doing and what you want. And it's staying afloat. Like you're basically just trying to keep your head above water.
Yeah, I like that you brought up being a mom, because I feel like I get a lot of like female like clients that are like, I'm a mom, it's kind of a struggle, is it worse or whatever, like with dating or just growth in general. And I'm like, dude, you have this beautiful creature of truth, like this is your honesty, this is what keeps you afloat, this keeps you motivated, this keeps you going, like even in dating, like I'm a mom, like that's a real thing of me being in my honest truth. It's like I'm not gonna hide that, that's a part of me, and that's a beautiful filter to have to see who's really about it or not, versus saying, but you'd be wasting time anyway, if that was the case. So it's interesting to hear that was a constant motivation for you, which is beautiful to have. I think in terms of now that you're like, you say you are managing and working on, but in a different way, what have you learned in the past that's helping you manage a little more efficiently now? And what is your course of management, say when you start having those feelings or you're having those thoughts? Like, how do you kind of bring yourself back to center?
Oh, I allow myself to feel. I don't sugarcoat it anymore. I'm like, oh man, I'm feeling shitty. So I sit in that and I go for a walk and I think about it and I allow myself to feel whatever I'm feeling. Where before I felt like it was just constant and it was like, I don't want to feel this way. You try not to feel it. where you come to terms with it. You're like, yeah, there's a lot of pain there, but we've done a lot of work. And like, you just kind of talk to yourself. But I took up running, so I like to run now. And, you know, I cook really good food, and I love nature. I sit in nature, and I journal, and I create content. And, you know, you find things that fill your soul, that it just comes more natural, more ease. It's more of like I'm floating on the water. There's not these big waves anymore. It's just kind of like chill. And, you know, it gets kind of dark, but I mean, overall, it's manageable, you know.
Yeah. That's beautiful. It's like you're flowing through those emotions. I feel like so many people are like they feel a negative emotion, like no, I don't want to feel it, don't want to deal with it, don't want to manage it, just distraction. And you allow yourself to feel it. You go, like, can you say you go with that flow of just let me see where this is coming from, let me get on top of it, like process it, and then move on, which is really great. I love that you said that, because I think it's there for a reason, right? These feelings are coming up. It's not so much the feeling, more so the action that you take. So it's not like you're doing things that goes against to where you're trying to grow into. You're actually doing things that serve you in a way that's really passionate, in terms of the running, the nature, the all that. So everyone needs to find their nature, or their running, or their passion.
Their thing.
Their thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And just remember that emotions come and go. Like, it's not going to be there for long, right? Yeah. Like, the joy that you're feeling, fucking relish it. Sorry, I don't know if I can say.
Oh, yeah. And I cuss like 80 times an episode. It's fine. Yeah, it's passion. We appreciate passion here. It's fine.
But like, relish in that joy, you know? Like, when you are feeling that overwhelming sense of just like giddy happiness, like, oh my God, sit in that, because you know it's fleeting. As is sadness and anger and frustration, it's fleeting. Don't attach to those emotions, because it's not going to be there forever.
Yeah. I love that. And it's just like, it's a part of the process of life. It's like why we're living. It's like I just see it as like video games. Like, we have all these buttons for a reason, you know, and just to play with half the controller, you're not like fully playing the game of life. Like you have the sadness, you have this anxiety, you have this. It's as long as you have it in a space of like you're kind of in the driver's seat of it, you know, and it's there for a reason. It's just alarm systems are figuring out whatever. And also it's a good reminder of your efficiency, because I'm sure you could probably look back a couple years back, 4 years back, and remember this used to be really difficult, and now I'm, you know, on top of it and managing it, which is beautiful to see. So that's freaking fantastic. So, and then the obvious, like, painful post breakup sadness swipes and all that, which, you know, more often than not won't go to anywhere, but everyone has their process.
Yeah, everybody has their process. Yeah.
You got to go through the motions, you know, you just like, you can't, it's like I have a lot of people that like, oh, I broke up with my ex. And the audacity of him being on a dating app. And I'm like, it's not like he's on a yacht living his best life. You know, it's like, he's sad. He's like eating a cheeseburger on the toilet, swiping. Like, it's like, you know, people go through their emotions.
He's dumpster diving.
He's dumpster diving. You know?
Yeah.
We all got to do that until we know that's self-worth. So with that said, it's so everyone knows that, you know, Katelynn Smith isn't happy all the time. She is in a process. She's a human being, but she follows the course. She processes her emotions, and she does things that she loves. Because that was like my question for you, because I think social media wise, they're gonna think, oh, she's just happy all the time. She just something's up with her. I don't know what medication she's taking. I need some of that. You know, but no, you are a human being going through the motions, but you're processing it and then displaying that, which is really beautiful to see. Because that was literally my question. Are you happy all the time?
I literally post things when I'm not happy. Like, you ever feel? And I just like sit there and I'm like, man, do you ever just feel like whatever I'm feeling? And I don't think those get as many views, to be honest, because like I look like Eeyore. Like, it's just like cloudy and it's like sad, and you can see the vibe. Like I see it in my content, you know, like I don't light up because I'm like, man, like this sucks. And I want to show up in all of the ways, because I don't want people thinking like, oh yeah, no, she's a robot. No, I have all the feelings. I do all the things that you do too, you know, like I go through those things. So, but I am overall, you know, I would say like 90% of the time pretty darn happy.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate all the content from Happy Sunshine to sad Tim Burton filter. We love all of it. It's part of the human process. But no, I got to say that too. It's like, I'm not happy all the time. Like, if I get annoyed of like really stupid things, but like I just let it pass, and then I don't let it ruin the experience. And that's really kind of like, you're just being a human being. So
yeah, but you're authentic too. I've seen some of your content where you're like, sharing what you're going through and the struggles. And I think that makes you human, and people connect to you more, like people connect to the realness. They love the happy shit, but they actually want to connect to like the sadness, and they want to connect to the anxiety and like why you can't get out of bed. Like they're like, oh, fuck, me too,
No, totally.
So
I think that's where, and it's interesting to talk to you. And I interviewed a few other coaches and people in spaces, and it's interesting how you hit a rock bottom in order to really like know who you are, because you got to really lift yourself up through that. And they all had their rock bottom moments. I had my rock bottom moment. You very much shared yours, but that's where we kind of defined who we were, and we're able to like own it, which is beautiful. So like everyone that's like listening, it's okay that you're not perfect or have to be fixed or whatever. Like we coach people and we share about our issues. It's okay. You don't only have to post the happy family photos, or you and your man's holding each other in the forest holding a pumpkin. If you want to, great. But I'm just saying, like, you could open up a little bit and then connect with human beings. But it's scary. It's a vulnerable space to be. Because I remember I launched my program in like 2019, and I was like stood up for like 24 hours to like get it made. And I made a live in the middle of the night, just like so pissed and just like exhausted and tired, and just like, this is gonna suck. I feel super anxious. I can't believe I'm gonna launch this. And then one of the people on the live gave me such a beautiful, like motivational just message. And I'm like, oh, thank you. No one's going to join this program. I'm over here like stressed and all that. And then she ended up joining, and she was phenomenal. She's so good at giving like love to people that when we first started working together, she's a waitress at Chili's, fun enough, which was amazing. But she's like, I want something more. And by the 8 weeks, she became a certified coach herself, because she's so good at giving love to people. But I'm like, that authentic connection of me not having to have it all together, just having a real human moment, but seeing the person's intention, I think is really beautiful to see. So all this to say, everyone, stay in your freaking truth. And I guess with that, do you find being in this space, like, is it lonely to be in this space, have this mindset? Because a lot of people do have these fears, and a lot of people are scared to be vulnerable, and a lot of people are scared to open up or be themselves on a first date. So do you find some like is it a little more difficult now to move in the world, in this space, after everything that you progressed and gone through? I think that's something interesting to hit on as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I can't really connect to people as deeply as I used to, because I didn't actually connect with people. I was wearing these masks, and I was, showing up as a version of myself that I thought people wanted to see. And so now when I meet people, I can like almost tell immediately if it's not real. And I kind of love and hate it because it is very lonely. It's just like, oh, okay, we're going to do surface level. All right, my favorite color. I love pizza. And, that's not how I connect. I connect, like this kind of, like talking and what fills your soul. And a lot of people aren't there yet. A lot of people, I don't know about you, but I've noticed there's a huge shift. Like the people that are coming into my life and that I'm coaching, they're finding what fuels their soul. It's not like, oh, I like to knit. No, it's like deep rooted. If you like to knit, I mean, you're knitting with purpose, like it's so different. And I love social media for that reason. I love that, I can connect with people like you on a screen, because then I don't feel so alone.
Yeah.
But in the real world where I live, in my community, it's really hard to find those people, because I don't go to the bars, and I'm out walking in nature, and I'm like, maybe today will be the day I'll meet another person at a tree. It's like you're trying to find like-minded people, and it's really, really hard in the real world.
Yeah. No, I feel you. when I was even living in Los Angeles, they think like, oh, LA is just like so many people. It's amazing. And it's like, it's still very hard to find your people. It's like everyone's wearing a mask. Like more often than not, a lot of people are wearing masks, and you understand it. You get it. We're human beings. We've had our moments of doing it. Same for me. I used to be a big old people pleaser and just like, I'm going to perform so you like me. And I'm like, I don't have to perform all the time. I'm like, I don't have to. I just want to be myself. But you see it. Like once it can be a very lonely road because a lot of people don't take that hard road. It's like, I think we talked about it, like that love as a mountain thing. I think we had that combo. Like the mountain, it gets smaller as the higher you go up, and the base is where it takes no work, but there's no views. That's where everyone is.
Yeah.
So it can be a little lonely as you go up. But that's why you have these digital communities. And also, Katelynn, that's why we're going to go to some freaking dope event somewhere in Costa Rica and do backflips in the ocean and do Reiki healing and everything else.
Say less.
This is how you find the community right here.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. So with that said, Katelynn, how can we connect with you? How can we, find you in these digital streets? How can we just be a part of the Katelynn Smith coaching universe, healing, love, coffee, all that? How do we jump on it? Jump on that beautiful ecosystem you created.
Oh, my handle is the same everywhere. It's Katelynn0009. I feel like a secret agent. I don't, it is what it is. So, I will be launching a new coaching program. So, yeah, because I want to reach more people, but I want to be more intentional with it. So, but it's a learning as you go. So, but yeah, I'm on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and Patreon and everywhere. Now on podcast. There we go. Oh, man.
I know. I'm excited for when your podcast launches. And, if you need a Puerto Rican dude, right here. Yes.
All right.
Sweet. So, Katelynn, thank you so much for being a part of this experience, being part of the podcast. Again, I don't take it lightly. I think there's something beautiful, and I think, the mess, fun to clean up, all that. Obviously, a lot of pain and hurt, been through that, but I think it awakened this human that's helping so many other people. And I will say honestly, no BS, like I may be having a hard day. I may have stubbed my toe and I'm very angry, and I'm scrolling through Instagram and I see you sharing a message, and just I have you muted, and I'm like, oh my God, she's just so vibrant and alive. And thank you for the daily reminder of just being alive, and we like get to experience it. And I really appreciate you and your story and just helping others. I do not take that lightly at all. So thank you for blessing us with your gifts on this pod. And that's all I gotta say. Thank you so much for being a part.
Well, thanks for having me.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for listening this week on the SelfHype podcast, brought to you by Chobo Studios. Katelynn's awesome. That's her first podcast. Like, just for context, she has so many freaking followers, and she's just like, I don't know, I'm just doing what I'm doing. It just shows the power of authenticity, and I hope you guys hold on to that in terms of love, dating, life, whatever. Stay in your freaking truth and see what comes of it. And also, you have a mess. You get to clean it up, but it's your mess. Own it, love it, kiss it, even the chicken bones, and clean it up. It's your mess to clean up. And you see the power of staying in your truth and owning your mess, and the beauty that comes with it and the success that comes with it. So thank you, Katelynn, for being a part of the show. And thank you, Patreon community, for supporting the podcast. So many goodies, so much extra content you guys are going to get. And if you want to be a part of Patreon, link in the bio. If you want to be a part of my coaching experience, we have 8-week coaching popping off. Or you want to be part of my other coaching services, link in the bio as well. I'd love to work with you. And with that said, I think that's about it. Get your healing on, love your damn self, and then some. See you next week.
The SelfHype Podcast.